Greetings, Centennial State, and welcome to the Colorado Report. I'm Dave Rex. Twice a week, we bring you select headlines and side stories from the Rocky Mountain State. Thank you for joining us. Hello to everybody on this Wednesday edition of the Colorado Report. Our first story comes from the Durango Herald. The Colorado State House passed a bill Tuesday that will expand sexual education requirements in public schools and ensure that abstinence-only programs are banned. House Bill 1032, which Republicans fought for hours last week to block, passed the House on a vote of 39 to 23. One Democrat, Representative Donald Valdez, who represents the San Luis Valley, voted against it. The bill now heads to the Senate. House Bill 1032 has stirred controversy in the Capitol, although it nominally expands on a 2013 law that already prohibits abstinence-only education and promotes inclusive language for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender students in school sex education programs. On Friday, Democratic lawmakers gave the bill initial approval after a day-long debate with Republicans, who tried to block the bill, saying it is unconstitutional and will violate Coloradians' religious beliefs. But Democrats fought back and defended sex education as a tool to promote tolerance. Quote, "For so long we have allowed religion to malign people who are different, and if we are not teaching our kids to be inclusive of people who are different than they are, that perpetuates us," said Representative Susan Lontine, the bill's sponsor. House Bill 1032, if passed into law, would expand Colorado's existing comprehensive sex education program, which must discuss alternative genders, sexualities, and various methods to protect against pregnancy and sexually transmitted diseases. The program discusses abstinence but does not promote it. House Bill 1032 would, among other things, give schools money to run comprehensive sex education programs, with particular preference given to rural school districts. Republican Senator Don Coram is sponsoring the bill in the Senate. In the past, Coram has broken with his party to support contraceptives and comprehensive sex education. He said abstinence-only education doesn't adequately protect teens from STDs or unwanted pregnancies, a perspective shared by Planned Parenthood and the American Civil Liberties Union. Earlier this month, Coram declined to discuss House Bill 1032's prospects in the Senate, where Republicans and opponents of the bill are likely to stage another battle to block it. Quote, "I'm sending out an SOS. This is not over. Let your voice be heard," said Republican Representative Susan Beckman. Next, we go to Denver, and particularly police radios in Denver. Denver police radios cackled Wednesday afternoon with a variety of calls for service. A father calling on a combative son, teens smoking marijuana in an alley, a car crash. Soon, however, the public will no longer be able to tune into the daily goings-on of Denver police, as the department plans to encrypt all of its radio traffic in the coming months, though news organizations will have access if they sign agreements with the city. Denver Police Chief Paul Pazin said the switch could happen as early as mid-April, with the department joining dozens of other enforcement agencies across the state that have opted to block access to their communications. Pazin said the move will protect personal information, such as addresses and personal phone numbers, from being distributed to police scanner listeners, and keep suspects from listening in. The decision represents, quote, the best balance of community safety and transparency. News organizations will have to sign a memorandum of understanding with the city before gaining access, and the city attorney's office was working this week to finalize what that document will say. But Jill Farshman, CEO of the Colorado Press Association, said such agreements are not a tenable long-term solution to the ongoing trend across the state of agencies encrypting radios. She credited Denver police for proactively reaching out, but said that it seemed that the administration never considered not encrypting. Quote, it really wasn't a negotiation, she said. So which media outlets will get access? Journalists use scanners to monitor police activity, report on breaking news, and inform their reporting. For example, the Denver Post first learned about a standoff January 27th at a house where a suspect shot 2 police officers by listening to the scanner, promoting reporters to quickly respond to the scene. Denver Police's change comes as the department completes a new 911 communication center and distributes new radios to the officers. Pazin said the department hopes to switch to encryption in mid-April, though it could take longer to get the new gear operational and train officers how to use it. Denver police previously used encrypted channels for investigations and other sensitive situations. The police department met multiple times with representatives from the news media before making the decision. When it comes to determining which media groups will be granted access to encrypted scanners, the chief declined to say where he draws the line at who or what qualifies as a news organization. Quote, we're not going down that road. We did not want to define who the media is. And neither is the Colorado Press Association. Farshman said while the association has standards for its own membership, it will not take on the responsibility of deciding who gets access to police departments' encrypted radio traffic. Technological advances have made it easier and cheaper for law enforcement agencies to encrypt their radios, experts previously told the Denver Post. Quote, I see this as something that the entire region could follow, Pazin said. This is a growing practice in Colorado. At least 28 other Colorado agencies have already encrypted their radio traffic, including Aurora, Lakewood, and Fort Collins. Longmont Police encrypted their radios in September as part of a pilot program with no notice to the public, promoting stories and an editorial from the Longmont Times Call. John Vallenkamp, the newspaper's managing editor, reached out to the police chief and stated his concerns with how the encryption would affect reporters' abilities to cover the news. Vallenkamp and others from the paper, which is owned by the same company that owns the Denver Post, arranged a meeting with the chief to talk. Quote, we showed up at this meeting and they had a radio and a contract, Vallenkamp said. The newspaper's leaders pored over the contract but ultimately decided they won't sign it because they didn't want any restrictions on what the reporters could do with information gleaned from the scanner. Quote, I would honestly rather not have a scanner than sign a deal that we can't keep, Vallenkamp said. The paper later agreed to honor a verbal agreement to be judicious about what scanner information is published, which is similar to the ethical guidelines journalists usually use when reporting using radio traffic. Farshman said the policy of giving news organizations access to encrypted radio traffic is not sustainable. It can also be costly if newsrooms are expected to purchase their own equipment, like Denver's news organizations likely will have to do. She estimates the cost for such scanners range between $3,400 and $9,000. Quote, this is an untenable piecemeal approach. All right, and for our final story, well, definitely tragic. I'm gonna say just listen to this from Denver 9 News.
An argument between two neighbors ended with a shooting near Eagle Crest High School in Centennial this morning. Arapahoe County deputies say the two were arguing over text message about parking spaces near their homes. The two agreed to meet at the school to settle the argument, and that's when one neighbor shot the other. The suspected shooter is 31 years old. He went home, called police, and surrendered, claiming his neighbor attacked him earlier in the day. So deputies arrested him. The other guy, a neighbor, is 46 years old. He was taken to the hospital, but we haven't heard how he's doing right now. Neither of them have been identified publicly. We should know more tomorrow morning.
And that's it for this Wednesday edition of the Colorado Report. You can check out links and show notes for this and all episodes at thecoloradoreport.com. You can send your emails to coloradoreport@gmail.com. You can tweet me. The handle is @thecoreport. And don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for listening. I'll talk to you soon.